That night before the scoreboard fell was a Thursday night. We had dedicated, Dr. Billy Graham had literally been under that scoreboard. We did a in the round sort of opening ceremony, and he dedicated the building. He had dedicated the old Charlotte Coliseum, so it was kind of a highlight for him to come back and dedicate the new Charlotte Coliseum. So on Friday morning, we get there. As I remember it was about 10 after 9 that morning, and I was up in our managing director's office, Steve Camp's office. Our operations manager, Dave Trotter, came up to Steve's office and said, the scoreboard has fallen. So we all rushed down there, and then just opening those curtains into the lower bowl and looking down there and seeing that 40,000 pounds of metal and scrap on a brand new floor that had never been played on was just an amazing sight.
The juxtaposition of all this newness and excitement with, you know, it looked like the lunar module had crashed through the roof and hit the floor.
There's one of the worst moments that you could probably have as a city. But before the day ended, it turned into one of the best moments.
Steve and I and all of our staff kind of really went into the show must go on mood. And Steve called our city manager, Wendell White, and got permission, authority to do whatever he needed for us to be able to play basketball that night.
That very day, there was one of the events that they had planned to ramp up or introduce people to the Coliseum was an international exhibition between a group of top NBA players and a group of college players who were going to be eligible for the NBA draft and whatnot. So it was quite an event. And we were going to have the women's national team come in and play, I think it was the Cuban women in the first game. So it was going to be a doubleheader.
It also said something about what an excitement there was in general about Charlotte. There was this can-do about the whole thing.
In just 7 hours' time, from the time that the scoreboard fell till about 5:30 that afternoon, city people who worked at the Coliseum, the new Coliseum, and also at the old Coliseum, they took the floor out. The scoreboard was removed. The floor was removed because it had pieces of scoreboard still embedded in it. Taken out. They had to clean the floor, the concrete underneath, and then waiting outside, as that all happened, they packed up the floor that was in the old Charlotte Coliseum, brought it across town, laid it on the floor, had that done between the hours of 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. It's probably one of the greatest moments that the city's ever pulled off.
1 million people, it seemed, did whatever they had to do to make sure that that game came off that night, because that was the first athletic event in that building. And I think it was extremely important to people beyond just who worked for the Hornets, for the whole city, to send a message to the nation that we were not going to be daunted by an accident.
Proud to say we opened the doors 30 minutes late that night, but both of those games with those Olympic exhibition teams started on time and played without incident.
And everybody just was so excited about the new, scoreboard. It was so massive, so huge. The city was kind of rampant about it. The organization, Georgia, and I was pretty proud about that new scoreboard, and here it is. It almost caused catastrophe.
It was crazy. Here they're adjusting the scoreboard, and it falls on the game court, and we still end up playing a game that night.
That was a serious business, not having it secured enough, and then the cost of a scoreboard, to hear it fall, I was like, oh gosh, is this what this first season's going to be like? But we rallied.
Luckily for us, no one got injured in that incident, so that helped us in the process.
One of the practices, or first practices that we had there, we all get together, okay, let's do our stretching, huddle up under at center court, and I'm going like, wait a minute, it happened once, it might happen again,
Every time after that, you go in there and you look up, you just want to make sure, hey, did you get the wires tightened up today? Everything good to go?
We were all kind of apprehensive about this big scoreboard they put up there, and actually due to that, I always stretched off to the side every game of my life after that happened. So just in case if the scoreboard fell.
It was startling. You know, the games were going on here, and it was cool for Charlotte. And then, out of the blue, this thing just falls, and it grabbed the attention of everybody in the arena that day, everybody in Charlotte, and around the country.
I don't suggest that other buildings try that, but it really worked out well for us in the face of adversity, how the city of Charlotte really came together and was able to really turn something that really could have been a negative incident into something very positive.